How are you doing? I'm just waiting for this to catch up. Yeah, we've got Facebook, YouTube, and my pals over at LinkedIn. Thank you for hanging out. So I see loads of talk online as a person who's an online coach and as a person who makes passive income. I see loads of talk online about like this passive income dream, laptop lifestyle, digital nomad, etc., etc. And I think that people are missing a very, very crucial part. There's also lots of absolute bullshit flying around in terms of like what you could do, overnight in MRR and faceless TikTok and whatever else. But let's save that all for another day. I'm talking about if you have reached an income ceiling in your current business. So you guys work with clients, you're client facing, working one-to-one, doing hair, nails, lashes, tan, makeup, SPMU, whatever it is that you guys do, because I know I've got a whole bunch of the industry peeps floating about in here. You work one-to-one with clients, so when you max out your time, your client-facing time, what a lot of you will do is just add in more hours that don't really exist. And then what happens when you max those out, so you're like fully booked, beyond booked, is you've reached this income ceiling. So you think the way to break through this income ceiling is to do something that is more scalable, more passive, even not necessarily passive, but just scalable and something that doesn't require you physically so much. So if anyone doesn't know this already, I had back surgery at 30, I was 31, 32. I forget because I've just turned 35, so my years are a bit off. End of 2022. And I had back surgery and I'd only done hair for 12 years, which I don't think was actually a great deal of time compared to some of yous. So I have first-hand experience of my body saying no completely, to the point where I had to close down my business. And one of the reasons that I was so happy to actually get the date for surgery at the time that I got it was because I had this business. So this business existed, this business had scaled up in the background. So I was able to still earn money while I was in surgery and also while I was in recovery. I absolutely dread to think what would have happened if that had hit me 2 years previously, or like pre-COVID or wherever, when I didn't have this. Okay, so please take it from someone who's been there. You don't want to do that. You don't want to have the choice taken away from you before you've had time to sort of scale up your other options. Siobhan, I see you over on Facebook saying I'm trying to grow my training school. Who else has got a side hustle that they're trying to make not a side hustle, or they're trying to scale up? And let us know what it is, or let us know if you've got something in the pipeline. We're entrepreneurs, right? So like, I don't think there's ever a day that we don't have a business idea. And I don't think I've spoken to anyone who doesn't have some sort of little seed of a idea kind of percolating in the head waiting to grow. So you guys who I'm speaking to now who want to do something to kind of go through that income ceiling. And these folks, so if this is you when you're beyond booked out, there's this thing of that you're outwardly successful, and it's just the most infuriating thing, because to your friends, to your family, to your industry peers, even to other people in Facebook groups, you have this like amazing situation that is really ideal. They would love to be in your position, they say, and you sort of inside roll your eyes and go, you wouldn't bloody wish this on your worst on your worst enemy if you've been there, to the point where you're like fully booked, books are closed, not taking on new clients, and still struggling with the workload that you've got now. And when I'm speaking to these people behind the scenes, and I know this because I was here too, it actually feels like you're failing. It doesn't feel like you've made a success of it at all. In fact, it feels like a bit of a miserable failure behind closed doors, because there's just this sense of something doesn't add up, but also I'm not allowed to tell anyone about it. Like, I'm not allowed to complain. The last thing I can do is go into a Facebook group full of other people who are complaining about how quiet they are and start complaining about how busy I am. Like, that feels like the biggest dick move ever. You also feel like you can't go to your friends and family because, again, they're going to think the same thing, but also they don't run a business, so they're definitely not going to have any sympathy for you, or probably not that great advice either. And there was a boss who's just enrolled into this cohort of Breakthrough, and she was telling me when we were chatting that she has had her books closed for ages. Like, she's not taken new clients on for months and months, but she's still not even paying herself minimum wage because she has a team. So everyone on the team is getting paid more than she's getting paid, even though on paper, like if you looked at the business in terms of demand, clients, retention, revenue, looks absolutely amazing, but behind the scenes it does not feel like that at all. So I want to give a couple of examples, like how will you know that this is you? and what I'm seeing showing up and how this showed up for me as well previously is, if your books have been closed for a period of time, but you are still living month to month, so financially, you kind of stuff's on credit cards, stuff's in an overdraft, you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, getting to the end of the month, or wait until your Stripe payments download or your Square payments drop in or whatever, but you haven't been able to take new clients on, right? You're fully booked. If you are fully booked and you don't have any savings, so there's no savings for, like, I mean, God forbid, COVID times. I mean, let's just pray that never happens again in our lifetime. But, you know, that was such an eye opener for everyone, because we realized that, like, many of us didn't have enough money to close for a week, let alone 15 weeks, until grants started coming in. And obviously not everyone was lucky enough to get those sorts of criteria and things like that. But I think that really hit home how much of a sort of house of cards our businesses were built on, that you're like praying that you don't have you know, when a storm comes, you're like praying that your roof doesn't blow off, you're praying that your boiler doesn't break. If you pop a tire, you're like, oh my God, I don't think I can cope with this. So when you're fully booked, but you still can't cope week to week, sort of financially, or it feels like it's a stretch every single week, or there's no savings. If for those of you who work with a team, where I see this show up is that you will be the busiest person in the salon, but you will be actually pocketing the least amount of money. So you will tend to be working to pay the wages of your team. You're absolutely rammed. I've had some really interesting conversations with people who have salons with teams who have regretted putting their name above the door. So when they opened the salon, they were like, oh yes, it's been, you know, it's successful. This is my life's dream to see my name. Like, who doesn't want to see the name in, you know, gorgeous font and signage? And then what they realize is clients want the person whose name's above the door. So all the client demand sits with them. They hire a team thinking, well, if I hire a team, naturally the clients will go to them. And then they have this other problem, which is, now I'm absolutely chocker, and I'm hiring a team, and I'm paying for them and coaching them and training them, doing meetings and stuff. And also my clients are not going to them. So you have sometimes staff who are sitting a little bit quiet because the owner is super, super busy. Missing out on real life. So this one is the bit that absolutely, it feels like a good punch to me. I remember missing my friend's hen do. And honestly, this was years and years and years ago. And I remember seeing the pictures. I mean, the pictures would have gone on Facebook, because I think this was like even very early Instagram days. And oh my God, it looked amazing. They all went away, a couple hours away, and they hired this like amazing, like an Airbnb before I think Airbnb was even a thing. And it was just gorgeous. And they were just laughing and joking and having the best time. And I was working with clients now. And I just think, I feel like such an idiot. I did straight away. I just thought it just wasn't worth it. Like, but at the time, one, it was the money. I didn't want to see that money go. It didn't feel like it made sense to not earn money and then spend money on top. And that was on me, because I hadn't, you know, accounted for that. And this was like pre being good at pricing and things like that. But also I just couldn't say no to my clients. Like, the demand was so high, and because I was booking so far in advance, I felt like I couldn't cancel those clients or move them, even though it was one of my best mates' hen weekends, which I missed. And she's still married to this day. So I'm hoping she never has another hen weekend ever again. But I missed it. I missed that chance, never to be had again. And it's obviously still on my mind, like, what, 10, 15 years later. It's absolutely wild. So missing out on life. I've seen people who are missing the kids' nativity play, they're missing parents' evening, birthdays, you know, big milestones, and just not feeling present. Like, you've got this missing of events, but then there's the, how are you showing up on a nighttime at home? And if you're so stacked working with clients back to back, when you come home, that's like the only time that you can do like your accounts and your receipts and your stock and your bookings and your social media, putting things together, writing blogs, newsletters, like putting appointments in. So you come home, you've been out of the home literally for like 10, 12 hours at this point, and the first thing you're doing is picking up your phone, because you have to, like, what other time have you got? And then there's this whole beef with the people around here who are like, mate, you've just come home, can you put your phone down? So we have this sort of clash at home as well, because it feels like we're not being present, when really we know that we're doing work. Obviously we're doing work. But even if you weren't doing work, you're allowed to come and, you know, play Wordle or whatever, because that's like your downtime. But I understand why to those people back at home, it feels like that you're not there, that you're not kind of showing up. And I'm seeing that a lot. I've experienced that as well firsthand. So it's just this case of like when the maths isn't mathing. Like if you're looking at your workload, your number of clients, your retention, how busy, how booked you are, your capacity, if you're beyond capacity and you've been at that consistently, but you're not sitting on savings, pension, investments, like you couldn't comfortably take like 2 weeks off and not work and bills are still getting paid. That to me is like a major indicator that something isn't quite right in the business. And there's a couple of things. There's looking at how to increase income, and there's also looking at how to reduce loss. Both the things that I do inside of Breakthrough, my program. And then, back to my point at the beginning of you wanting to do this kind of passive thing or this scalable income. I think that there are a lot. In fact, I know this because I've been having these conversations all last couple of weeks. Some of you don't even dare to say, "Oh, I would love to explore this," because like other revenue streams, I mean, beyond working behind the chair, because of this feeling of failure. I've literally been speaking to people who are like, well, who am I to talk when my business feels like a failure behind the scenes? Like they're feeling like, oh, that's a cop out, or that's not an integrity, or whatever. Or they're just so scared to even say it because they're just looking at the diary and the calendar thinking, where the hell am I going to fit, doing new social media, building an audience, finding your niche, creating your offer, scaling it up, like doing paid ads, doing a whole other website, all the tech shenanigans. So it's easier for those people to just go, oh, no, that's not on my agenda. When I'm having a chat with them and saying, is this something that you're considering? They're like, oh, yeah, actually it is. And it's like they won't even verbalize that until I ask that question because they're just so nervous of even saying it, or they feel like they don't deserve it, or they just feel like it's an absolute impossibility for them. And I just want to remind you what you've done so far, and I want to share some stats because it's your girl, and I love a little bit of data. How long, can you let us know in the comments how long you've been in business for? How long you've been self-employed for up to now? And if you watch it on replay, let me know as well. Because I want to share some stats with you. I've been self-employed for, let's think, how old am I? 15 years. I've had this business in particular for 6, right? So Botti Salon, 6 years old. I've been self-employed since I was 20. So absolute FB, I was going to say banger as in like bangers, but it's not. So we've got 19 years, 2.5 years for you, Hayley. Yeah, keep them coming. I want to see how long you've been kicking about. Amanda, 15 years, right? 25 years, amazing. I love to see this. Just how incredible this is. But just to share this with you, right? 20% of new businesses fail in the first 2 years. So all of you have said you've been here over 2 years. The lowest was 2.5. So already you're in the top 75% because you've been here more than 2 years. 45% of businesses fail in the first 5 years. So if you've been in business over 5 years, you are in the top 55%. And 65% of businesses fail during the first 10 years. So if your business is over 10 years old, you are in the top 35% of businesses, nearly the top third of businesses. So just keep that in mind, right? If you're feeling like you've cocked up, or you're feeling like it's not going particularly how you wanted it to, or you've got this like behind the scenes, oh, I'm not successful, or I failed because it doesn't look or feel how I thought it was going to, or it looks how I thought it was going to, but it doesn't feel quite how I thought it was going to. Just keep that in mind. And the fact that the majority of you, so even the person who said 2.5 years, that's like just post-pandemic times, and anyone who had their business through the pandemic, like, my God, what an achievement it is to still have a business now, right? That's it. Amanda says so many ups and downs constantly. That's it. Like, please give yourself some grace of what you've achieved up to this point, and also realize what potential you have in you. Like, you've done it already. Think of the people that you know in your personal life, like your friends and your family. I'm really lucky, like all my best friends have businesses, but I know that that's like an anomaly. That's not a very normal thing. I know that most people don't have a lot of business owner friends. So think of those friends of yours, those, ex-colleagues or people you went to school with, or like your close family, who are sitting in the, the cushy comfort of like a salaried 9-to-5 job with holiday pay, pension contributions, sick pay. Like, they fall over and break their arm. Need bother, right? Because the gaffer's going to pay them for the next, 6 weeks or a couple of months, or however long it takes to recover from that. We break our arm. Is anyone else terrified of breaking something, by the way? I still have this now and I don't do hair. I went to New York a couple of times over Christmas and I wouldn't ice skate because I was so terrified of like my hands. I was like, my hands are my livelihood. I had these visions of falling over, visions of breaking my hands or my wrists or my elbows or someone slicing. It's like Final Destination vibes. And I would avoid doing those things because the risk as a self-employed person not being able to work, especially in the Christmas period, was just enormous. When I was employed, my God, I was like reckless. You know, if I had a cough, I was like, can't come in today. If I was a bit hungover back in the day, I'm not going to come in this week. We are, as self-employed people, my goodness, I've had 2 sick days in 15 years. No, how long did I say? Yeah, in 15 years, I've had 2 days, literally 2 full days that I've cancelled clients. And it was when my back was so bad behind the chair. So the fact that you're here, the fact that you still have a business, the fact that you still exist, yes, it might not be what you thought it would be, but you have so much control over this as well, by the way. But I just want you to give yourself like a little pat on the back, and I'm giving you the same, like a little high five, because Jesus Christ, you've done incredibly well to be here up to now, okay? Oh, bless you. I hope you're feeling better soon. The beauty studio saying I've got a broken left arm, trying to work through it. I'm with you. I've seen everything. I've seen dislocated shoulders, broken arms, carpal tunnel, like plantar fasciitis. I never know how to say it. All of the back stuff that I had as well. It's like the hair and beauty's repertoire of ailments, right? And honestly, I think for so many of us in this position, it's not a case of like, if this happens, it's when it happens. And what I do not want is for anyone to be in the position of if it gets to that point, and that is also reversible as well, but you need to have time away from working. But I understand you need the income to be there. Is we want to have that income safety net. Like the last thing I want is for someone to be like in illness and not have the financial safety net, not have other options available to them, not have savings or anything like that. That's like my worst nightmare for everyone. So that's what I really want to prevent. The great news is that everything is there's so much in your control. So I do this whole talk about fault versus responsibility. Like it's not anyone's fault that anyone gets unwell, right? It's not anyone's fault that we had a pandemic. It's not anyone's fault that the economic climate is tough or the political climate is tough, or that there's, inflation or recession or cost of living crisis, right? None of our fault whatsoever. But it's our responsibility how we navigate these things, right? It was my responsibility how I navigated needing back surgery. It was my responsibility how, did I go to physio? Did I do my exercises? Did I take care of myself? So those things, it wasn't my fault that my back was knackered, although I probably did play a bit of a part because I worked so bloody much. And I'm 6 foot and I did extensions, so I was all twisting and whatever. And I did not take very good care of myself at all. But ultimately, it's my responsibility, or it was, how I got myself out of that. And you can create your own definition of success. So if you would like to, I invite you to just put it down. It's like you've got this sort of heavy rucksack of like, right, this is what everyone else thinks I need to be doing. I need to be fully booked. I need to close my books. I need to hire a bunch of staff. I need to have my name above the door. I need to have 20 salons. If that does not fit you anymore, if that feels uncomfortable or too heavy, I invite you just to take it off and just put it down for a sec. And you can rake around and you can look through that bag and you can think, what do I want to keep? What do I want to leave? And you can just chuck whatever you want in the bin, okay? And you can pick up something much lighter, something cute, something Gucci, a nice little crossbody, whatever, and decide what you carry forward, okay? You can completely change your mind. I've changed my mind on heaps and heaps of things. Who I was 5-6 years ago is a completely different person to who I am today. I used to be party girl, literally like you. I was the last one out on a night out when the lights were coming on. Then I'd still want to go, stay out even later. My friends would call us Frank the Tank. I couldn't have one drink because I would have 20 and I'd just be, wild. I don't drink. I haven't drank it's coming 5 years in June. And if you'd asked me of, 2019 and said, oh, Maddi, can you imagine ever not drinking for 5 years? I'd be like, shut the hell up. Like, absolutely not. That was such a part of my life. My friend even literally stitched Frank the Tank on a cushion for me. I was like, nothing solidifies how people perceive you until they've stitched on a cushion. I used to hear people who go to the gym. Now I've got the gym nigh on every day for the past year. I used to hear people who get up early. I used to slag them off. Now I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I used to feel horribly guilty all the time. Before I started therapy, the first thing I said to her was, I feel bad all of the time. I feel so guilty. I'm a massive people pleaser. And she said, how is that showing up? And I said, off the top of my head, I would feel bad if someone was behind me at the petrol station, because I got there first, and I was taking a while to put my petrol in. I would literally feel physically, like sometimes I wouldn't fill my car up. I'd like go halfway because I was like, I have to get out of the way and let them go, even though I was physically there first. I can't tell you what a different person I was. And that was like 3 years ago. Now I'm like a beast at setting boundaries, like shit hot with direct communication. Like everything is changeable. Like it's just, and I love this. I think that's just such an incredible part of our life. Oh, bless you, being in tears as I feel my rucksack is weighing me down. I'm glad I've looked on. But take it off for a second. You're okay now. There's no weight of expectations. There's no nothing. Just literally just take it off. Give it a little one of these. You're welcome to. I'm feeling well enough now talking to you. So I'm really glad that you found this at the time you did. And this new definition becomes and stays your reality with a shift in identity. So I don't know if you've ever read Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's a really good book. I'll go and follow him because he posts some really good content. And one of the things that stood out to me when I read that book is when we link habits to our identity. And I think a very helpful or hurtful phrase can be, I'm the kind of person who. So before I was like, I'm the kind of person who goes out on the session all weekend, right? I'm the kind of person who, lays in bed till 10. I'm the kind of person who procrastinates. I'm the kind of person who, I'm not a runner. I'm still not a runner. I'm not the health person. I'm not a business person. I rejected that identity. I didn't want to be a business person, which is crazy. So when I first started going to the gym a year ago, on day one, even though I didn't feel it and I didn't really believe it, on day one I said, I'm the kind of person who goes to the gym. And I put my leggings down and my top down. I put my trainers next to bed. I literally rolled my legs off and put my clothes on. And I was like, I'm the kind of person who's healthy. I'm the kind of person who takes care of themselves. And you can do that before you are even actually doing that, by the way. You can do that right this second. So you could say right now, I am the kind of person who honors their capacity. I am the kind of person who does not book themselves until they are burnt out. I'm the kind of person who can say no to clients, and that's okay. I'm the kind of person who takes care of my energy. And you can do it, even if you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm being completely truthful now, but just start to try that on for size. Or just pick up whichever one kind of works for you, okay? Because we really need to shift the identity. That's a massive part of doing this sort of change work. And when you do, so what's available to you on the other side of this? This is a massive part of what we do inside of Breakthrough. So if you've missed it, I'll just give you the cliff notes. Breakthrough is a 6-month group coaching program that I run. It's literally going to start this week. And it's for people who are booked or beyond booked, who want to sustainably drop a day per week of client work without sacrificing profit. And it's usually because there's something else that they want to work on, something that they want to scale up. Sometimes they just want to go to like a spa day. Sometimes they just want to have more time with their kids. Like, you don't have to have this grand plan. I definitely do not decide what your success is. But a lot of people are in that position where they've bumped up against that income ceiling and they're considering the next steps. But even if you're not trying to grow like another income, what we do is we take your existing fully booked business and we make it as profitable as humanly possible. And I have never met a person who does not have multiple thousands of pounds untapped in their business as it is at the moment, even if you're fully booked. So without working more hours, we're going to actually work less. So what we do is we ramp up profitability. We also tighten up any losses, any money, anywhere that we're hemorrhaging money or losing money. So what that does is it really increases the profit and it gives you that lovely sort of financial safety net. And then and only then do we drop a day. Okay, because what I don't want anyone to do is tomorrow just to drop a day a week and then, slash their income by a fifth and have an absolute wobbler, because that's not going to feel good at all. Bethany on Facebook, so needed to hear this. Thank you, Maddi. Absolutely fine. I'm glad you found it when you did. So we're opening on Friday officially. We're going to start on Monday, but on Friday we do like a kind of welcome party, orientation sort of vibe. I always want to say orienteering and then realize that's the wrong word. We currently have 6 spaces left. So we're getting there. We're almost full. We're going to close enrollment on Friday or when we fill up those spaces, okay, whichever happens first. If you are mid-conversation with me, please, please, please pick up. I know that you're very busy. That's literally the point of Breakthrough. So please, please, please just make some time to pick this chat up. I am not running it again this year. So this is cohort 4, and I've always run it back to back, where I've done 6 months, 6 months, 6 months. I'm not going to do this year because I have other engagements, like other things that I've got to work on at the back end of this year, and I only want to ever do it if I can give it 110%. So this will be the last time that we run Breakthrough in 2024. The next time will be, well, we haven't locked a date in yet, but at the earliest it's going to be this time next year. So I do not want anyone waiting a full year. At least last time you only had to wait 6 months. This time you'll have to wait at least a year if you don't get onto this cohort. Okay, so please, please, please make a priority to get in touch if this is for you. If you want the info sending out, so you can just have a little spy, see if it feels like a good fit, DM me with the word busy, and my lovely little Maddi bot, my beloved little robot friend, will send you a link to the info page. If it feels like a good fit, there's an application form, fill that in and I'll get back to you. It is by application only. That's to make sure that we are each a good fit for each other. Okay, so it's really important that the people inside of Breakthrough are in the best position to actually do this work. And it's also imperative that I'm a good fit for you as a coach and vice versa. We already have a full shebang of industry people. So we've got some from hair, we've got nail tech, we've got beauty therapists. So you are welcome. It doesn't matter which sort of corner of the industry you're from. I don't care whether you work from home, whether you rent a space in someone else's salon, whether you own your own salon, whether you're mobile, pull up a chair. You are absolutely welcome in my house. So send me a DM with the word busy if this is you and you're interested and you just want to have a little read through of the info, and we'll go from there. Do get in touch, or do fill a form in if this is for you, and I will pick up with you ASAP because we only have a handful of spots left. Thank you ever so much. If you know anyone who needs to hear this, just comment and tag them or send it to them if they're needing a bit of a lift, a bit of Maddi motivation. I always feel like Mrs. Motivator when I do these things. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it, especially those of you who are super duper busy. I know all of our time is dead precious. So thank you, and I will be back again soon. I love you and leave you for now, Bill Bosses. I'll see you in a bit.